So today I am very excited because we're going to be making yakitori, and for the tare or the yakitori sauce I'm going to be using a book, The Japanese Grill by Tadashi Ono and Harris Salat. It's one of my favorite books. I highly recommend it. Let's get started. Start by removing the tail from the bird. That will be our first skewer. Flip the bird over, and then we will remove the leg and the thigh. Just give it a twist, and you should easily be able to cut through the cartilage right at the joint. Now we're going to debone the leg and the thigh. Start by making a slit down the middle of the leg. And this is the only time I actually cut through the bone. So with the back of your knife, just give it a whack, give it a twist, and then you can get your knife under there and remove the bones from the leg and the thigh. Bones go for tare or soup. And that's your deboned thigh. Now we're going to cut out the knuckle, which is basically cartilage, and that's going to go for a skewer. And I never thought I would like knuckle, but it's got a good texture and a bit of a crunch, and it's really tasty yakitori style. And that's what I like about yakitori, is that you use the entire bird. There's very little waste. Cut the knuckle. It's going to go for a skewer. Thigh and leg are deboned, and that will go for skewers. We'll do the same thing with the other thigh and leg. Bones go for tare or soup. And we'll cut out the knuckle again. And knuckle goes for skewers. Leg and thigh are deboned. Now we'll go for skewers. Now we're going to remove the skin of the breast. So just get your thumb under there and it should peel right off. And then just using your knife, cut it away from the chicken. The skin will go for skewers. And skin is actually very delicious. You might think it's going to be really, really crispy, but when you cook it on the yakitori grill, or even on a regular grill, it's going to be crispy on the outside, and you're going to have a really tender bite on the inside. So it's good flavor and good texture. Now we're going to remove the breast and the wing from the chicken. So we're going to cut right down the middle, and you only need a few cuts, and then you'll be able to just peel that right away from the carcass. So peel that away, leaving the breast tenderloin. Now we'll do the same thing on the other side. score it a couple times, and it should peel away from the bones. Now we're going to remove the breast tenderloin, and that will be its own skewer. And that should pull right off once you score it a couple times. And we'll do the other side. Get your fingers in there, score either side, and you should be able to pull it right off the bone. Any remaining skin, especially near the top there, you can use that as a separate skewer, or you can add it to your skin skewers. It tends to be a little bit thicker skin, but it makes a really good skewer. So the skin goes for skewers. And then last, we're going to cut the soft bone, and that's the cartilage by the neck, and that's going to be its own skewer. And that's also really tasty. It's got meat on it, and it also has cartilage, so you have some chew and some crunch, and it makes a really good yakitori skewer. Now we'll remove the breasts from the wings. The breasts tend to dry out on yakitori grill. Well, they tend to dry out in general. So usually I will use the breasts for Jack's meals. Jack is our Jack Russell, and his diet consists of chicken breasts, broccoli, and rice. So this will feed him for a week. Now we'll remove the drummy from the wing, and that will be its own skewer. Then we're going to remove the flat. Now with those you can actually get skin off of that, but we'll use it for soup or tare. So remove the drummy. And with the flats, what I'll do is I usually score it twice, and then I'll take out the smaller bone. And one, it makes it easier to skewer, and it's also a lot easier to eat rather than dealing with two bones. So the bone goes for tare or soup. Flat goes for skewers. And we'll do the same thing with the other wing. Just take out that small bone. It's nice to have a sharp knife, or like this is, it's a honeski, it's a boning knife, because you can really get in under the bones, and it makes it a lot easier to debone a chicken. So there we have our bones for soup and tare, and now let's skewer. And I like to use bamboo skewers. You can soak them in water for a couple hours, but they are a lot more resistant to the flames, and they're not going to burn up like a wooden skewer. So this is going to be negima. So it's negi is scallion or onion, and we just alternate those with the chicken. do the breast tenderloin, which is its own skewer, and it tastes very different from the chicken breast. And we'll just put those on and make those one skewer. Do the chicken wings or the flats, and it helps when you skewer these. You can, if you push down toward the cutting board and kind of rotate it, it should slide right through. You'll put a couple of those on there. And that'll be its own skewer. Next we're going to do some hearts, and for hearts I usually like to cut them in half. I'll cut the end off, cut them down the middle, and then remove that the blood on the inside, which tends to be a little bit bitter, and then that'll be its own skewer. And I really never thought of myself as eating heart before, but it's got a good texture and a good flavor. I don't particularly enjoy liver, so I usually cook that up separately and save that for Jack for his treats. And I'll cut it up and freeze it and then give it to him as a treat. I use the carcass, usually grill it first, and then I'm going to start making the tare. So we'll start with 2 cups of meating, 2 cups of soy sauce, and with the carcass you can also cook that in the oven and add that as well, but it does help if you cook it first. 1 cup of sake, and 1 cup of water, and 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. And we're going to put that on the stove, bring it to a boil, and it's going to simmer for about an hour. In the background you can see the tare pot that I use, and that can be put in the refrigerator to keep it for several months. Now you can also do this, that could be just a basic tare, but you can also do what I like to do is add some scallions. Some fresh ginger, a few garlic cloves, and some fresh ground pepper. And you just put that back on the stove and let it cook, and then you have your tare. Now that our binchotan is a type of coal, is nice and red, we're going to light up our binchotan or our yakitori grill. You don't have to use a yakitori grill, you can use a regular grill, but this one's nice. It's good with the binchotan. You could use other charcoal, like hardwood, but I wouldn't recommend regular charcoal because it gives it kind of an alkaline taste. Then I'll put a little bit of salt to season the chicken, a little sake, and you can put the sake in a spray bottle and just spray it as you go, and it just gives it a kind of an additional flavor.
the Binchotan grill. And one thing you got to do is you got to just keep turning because sometimes these things can flare up. I'll use a fan to regulate the heat. And then dip it, once it's almost done, I'll dip it in the tate, put it back on the grill, and that just caramelizes it before serving. And you want to serve this stuff while it's hot. It's the best way to do it. If you're having a party or if it's just you, just have a plate ready and eat as you go. Get a nice coating of tate. And that tate, by dipping it in the pot, it's going to add flavor to your tate. And over time, you're going to have, it's going to be a more, even more robust flavor. And like I said, you can keep it for months in the refrigerator. You just take it out once in a while and boil it, and then put it back in the pot, and put it back in the fridge so you're ready to use it again. And temp it out, and put it on a plate. So those are my knuckles and soft bone and hearts. Some thighs. And that's yakitori. Let's eat. Start with the knuckles and the soft bone. And it's always good to have a nice cold bottle of Japanese beer. Which you guys could smell. This smells amazing, especially with the Binchotan. Let's try the hearts. A little crunchy, very good. Wings. These are amazing. You'll have to eat with two bones. Cheers to all of you. I hope you enjoyed watching, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again.